In this video, we're going to talk about book value of a bond and the amortization or accumulation of premium or discount. So let's just start with an example and talk about the pieces as we go along. So in this example, we've got a 10-year, $1,000 par value bond. It has 6% semi-annual coupons, and we're pricing it to yield 5.6 convertible semi-annually. And the problem asks us how much premium is amortized in the 8th period. So we notice that we have a premium bond here because the yield rate is less than the coupon rate. So we've got a bond that's being sold at a premium. As time goes by, we would expect that value of that bond to go down because you've got fewer coupon payments. So you've got a fewer amount of payments that are going to be paid at that higher interest rate. So as the time goes by, the price of the bond or the value of the bond goes down. So you're paying extra for this bond, but its value is going down. So there's got some sort of a premium that you can amortize that you can count against your investment income, if you will. So let's talk about what we mean by that here in a second. Just like what we did back in amortization for loans, we want to see what the change in the value or the change in the balance, if you will, on the bonds is as you go from one period to the next. Remember, there are a couple of ways that we can calculate loan balances, or in this case, bond book values. And that's using either the retrospective, the looking back, or the prospective, the looking forward methods. So remember, for retrospective, the book value or the balance at time t will be how much the initial investment grew in those time t time periods, minus the accumulation of all of the coupon payments so far. So this would be your retrospective method. Prospective method, or looking forward, we have n minus t payments remaining at time t. So we can look at the present value of those payments at time t for the coupon payments, and then plus the value of the redemption value at time t, or n minus t periods backward. So now if we could use either of those formulas, but to use the first one, I need to know what the price of the bond is, and I don't have that computed. So it's probably just as easy here in this particular example to use the prospective method to figure out our book values. We want premium amortized in the 8th period, so I need to know the change in the book value from time 7 to time 8. Well, at time 7, there are 13 periods or 13 payments remaining. So we look at the value of those 13 payments of 30. So again, it's 30 because we have semi-annual coupons here. So we cut that 6 in half to calculate our coupon value. We have 13 of those remaining, so this will give us the value of the 13 remaining payments at time 7. And then we also have the $1,000 redemption value that we need to move back 13 periods to give us the value of the redemption value at time 7. That gives us a book value of $1021.54. Do the exact same thing for time 8. The only thing that changes is the number of periods remaining is 12 instead of 13. Notice the book value drops. So you, in some sense, you lose $1.40-ish in value going from time 7 to time 8. Now you're gaining $30 in interest. So that $30 in interest as an investor that you would get is income. So if you're looking from a tax perspective, you might want to have ways to mitigate that income on your income statement from a tax perspective. And exactly one way to do that is to look at how much premium has been amortized in that period and subtract that from your amount of income, because you've actually lost the value of the book value over that time period. Another way to get at the amount of premium that's been amortized in a period is from a formula that looks a lot like what we did for loans. So here again is our pricing formula for loans. Here we can just add and subtract an f, if you will, from both from the expression. We haven't changed anything, but when I add or subtract the f, I want to factor it out of the second term. Now, if I want to look at these two pieces together, the last two terms in this expression in the second line, remember, for your a angle n, you've got a 1 minus v to the n in the numerator and an I in the denominator. So if I want to get a common denominator to combine these things, I would need to multiply this by I over I. And then notice I've got a 1 minus v to the n over I in both terms. That's where the a angle n comes from that we could factor out. I also now have an f in both terms. I can factor it out. And since I had to multiply by I over I, I'm left with an r in this term and an I in this term. So I get r minus I in the middle. So here is our face value, and here is how much of the premium or discount is at that particular time. So the P here is representing the book value, if you will, at that time. And then this part here is representing the amount of premium or discount at that particular time. So we can compute the amortization of, say, the principal, if you will, using the same formula that we did back in when we did the amortization for loans. Remember, that was the payment amount times v to the n minus t plus 1. So if we want the amount of premium that's in the 8th period, then we would take our f times r minus I, so that's the amount of payment in a particular period, times v to the 20 is the term, because there's 20 semi-annual periods in 10 years. T is 8 plus 1, so this would be v to the 13th here. And if you multiply that, you get the same $1 and about 40 cents.